Look at two physiques side by side, a Hollywood actor and a competitive bodybuilder. The bodybuilder is bigger, heavier, and carries more muscle by every measurable standard. And yet ask most people which physique looks better, which one they would rather have, and the answer is almost always the actor. Why? It is not size, it is proportion. Specifically, it is the width of the shoulders relative to the waist. That single ratio, broad shoulders, narrow waist, is what the eye reads as an impressive physique. It works under a shirt. It works on the camera. It works in real life in a way that sheer mass frequently does not. 3 exercises fix this directly. Here is exactly how to do each one and why it works. Before the exercises, a brief explanation worth understanding. Your deltoid is divided into 3 distinct heads: front, side, and rear. They are anatomically separate and respond to different movement patterns. Training one does not adequately train the others. Most training programs inadvertently hammer the front delt. Every bench press, every overhead press, every push-up involves significant front delt activation. After years of pressing work, most people's front delts are reasonably developed without ever being directly trained. The side delt receives almost none of that carryover. It is primarily responsible for lateral abduction, raising your arm out to the side, which almost no compound pressing movement involves. If you are not directly training lateral raises, your side delts are almost certainly undertrained relative to everything around them. The rear delt is in a similar position but affects a different visual outcome. It determines whether your shoulders sit back in their natural position or roll forward, which affects posture, the apparent width of your upper body, and whether all the muscle you have built actually looks the way it should from the front. 3 exercises. 1 directly targets the side delt with proper mechanics. 1 builds the rear delt while fixing posture simultaneously. 1 builds overall shoulder strength and fullness with no equipment required. Exercise 1. Leaning dumbbell lateral raise. Most people perform lateral raises standing completely upright. This is the single most common mistake in shoulder training, and it is why most people's lateral raises do not produce the side delt development they should. Here is the problem with the upright position. It creates a mechanical dead zone at the bottom of the movement. When your arm hangs straight down at your side, the dumbbell sits directly below the shoulder joint. Gravity is pulling it straight down. Your side delt is pulling it laterally. At that bottom position, the tension on the side delt is almost zero, which means the first several inches of every rep are essentially wasted. The fix is a small lean. Stand next to a wall or any fixed support. Grip it lightly with your free hand for balance. Now lean slightly away from the support, just enough to shift your torso a few degrees off vertical. Let the working arm hang freely from that leaned position. What this does is change the angle between your arm and the line of gravity. Instead of the dumbbell hanging directly below the shoulder joint, it now hangs slightly across your body. Tension is present on the side delt from the very bottom of the movement through the entire arc rather than only in the top half. The result is more total time under tension per rep, concentrated exactly in the muscle you are trying to develop. One additional cue at the top: tilt your pinky slightly upward as if you are pouring a glass of water out to the side. This small internal rotation at the peak of the movement increases the contraction in the side delt by orienting the muscle fibers more directly against the resistance. Use lightweight. This is not a movement that rewards ego loading, it rewards controlled tension. Lower the dumbbells slowly over 3 to 4 seconds. The eccentric phase is where a significant portion of the growth stimulus lives. 3 sets of 12 to 15 reps. Rest 60 to 90 seconds between sets. Exercise 2. Face pulls. Most people skip face pulls because they do not look impressive. No heavy weight. No dramatic range of motion. Nothing that generates attention in a gym. This is a significant mistake, because face pulls accomplish 2 things simultaneously that almost no other exercise does. They directly develop the rear deltoid, and they correct the forward shoulder posture that is quietly undermining the appearance of every other muscle you have built. Here is what happens when the rear deltoid is weak relative to the front delt and chest. The shoulder girdle gets pulled forward. Your shoulders round. Your chest collapses slightly inward. From the front, you look narrower than you actually are, because the width of your shoulders is being hidden by the way they are sitting in their socket. Face pulls pull your shoulders back into their correct position by strengthening the muscles responsible for external rotation and scapular retraction. The visual effect on your physique is immediate and significant. You look wider, more open, more upright, without gaining a single pound of muscle. Here is how to perform them correctly. Set a cable at a high position, above eye level. Attach a rope handle. Grip the ends of the rope with both hands, thumbs pointing toward you. Step back far enough that the cable is under tension before you begin. Pull the rope toward your forehead, not your chin, not your neck. Forehead. Keep your elbows high and wide throughout the movement, tracking outward at roughly ear level. At the end position, your hands should be on either side of your face, elbows flared out, with your shoulder blades fully squeezed together. Hold that contracted position for 1 full second. Then return with control. The 1 second hold at the peak is not optional. It is the moment of maximum rear delt and external rotator activation, and most people rush through it completely. No cable machine? A resistance band anchored to something above head height works identically. The exercise is accessible anywhere. 3 sets of 15 to 20 reps. Higher rep ranges work well here because the rear delt responds to sustained tension and volume. Exercise 3. Pike push-ups. The first 2 exercises address the specific muscles most responsible for shoulder width and posture. This one builds the overall strength and fullness of the shoulder, the round, full cap on top that makes your arms look bigger even when they are relaxed. And it requires nothing but floor space. The pike push-up shifts the loading angle of a standard push-up to emphasize the deltoids rather than the chest. By elevating the hips and bringing them directly above the shoulders, you create a movement that closely approximates an overhead press, loading the entire shoulder musculature through a vertical pressing pattern. Here is how to set it up correctly. Begin on all fours. Walk your feet toward your hands until your hips are high in the air and your body forms an inverted V shape. Ideally, your hips should be nearly above your shoulders. The closer to vertical your torso, the more the load shifts onto the shoulders and away from the chest. From that position, lower the top of your head toward the floor in a controlled descent. Your elbows should track slightly outward, not flared dramatically wide, not tucked tight. Press back up to the starting position. The range of motion here is smaller than a standard push-up, and that is expected. The movement is harder than it looks because of the loading angle. Start with whatever rep range allows you to maintain the position and control, form first, reps second. When this becomes manageable, elevate your feet on a bench or box to increase the difficulty and continue shifting the loading angle toward vertical. Eventually, this progression leads toward handstand push-ups, one of the most effective shoulder-building movements that exists. 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. Rest fully between sets. This is a strength movement, not a conditioning exercise. 3 exercises. Add them to your existing training. They slot into any upper body session without requiring you to rebuild your program around them. Leaning dumbbell lateral raise, 3 sets of 12 to 15 reps. Full tension at the bottom, slow eccentric, pinky tilt at the top. Face pulls, 3 sets of 15 to 20 reps. Elbows high and wide, 1 second hold at peak contraction. Pike push-ups, 3 sets of 8 to 10 reps. Controlled descent, hips high, feet elevated as strength develops. Within a few weeks of consistent training, the visual change in your shoulder width is noticeable. Not because these are exotic or complicated movements, but because they are targeting the exact muscles that create the wide, proportional frame most people are training toward without ever directly addressing. The actor physique is not built by accident. It is built by understanding which muscles create the proportions the eye reads as impressive and making those muscles a priority. Side delts are that muscle. Now you have the 3 exercises to build them. If this gave you a clearer picture of how to actually build the shoulder width you have been training toward, subscribe, because every week we break down the specific muscles and movements that produce the aesthetic results most programs miss. Drop a comment. Are you currently training side delts directly, or has your shoulder work been mostly pressing? See you in the next one.